Hey y'all, welcome to the Farmhouse. Today we're going to be grilling something good underneath the hood of our Kamado Joe. It's a great cut of meat, simple, it's easy to do, and fast. Today we're going to be grilling, not smoking, a pork loin. Typically I prefer to smoke most things, but I know we don't always have the time to do that, especially the time it takes to smoke anything. And when you're coming home from work, you're just plain hungry. You don't want to wait to smoke any meat. You want to just get it on the grill, get it off the grill, and eat it, which is part of the reason we're using a pork loin. It's one of the healthiest cuts of pork, and it's great for the grill since it doesn't have too much fat. We're going to add a honey teriyaki with Jack Daniels marinade to our pork loin for additional flavor, and I'll give you that recipe as well. Now we bought this pork loin at Publix, and we looked for one that was around about 1.5 pounds, since it's just Miss Connie and I that's going to be eating this thing. We don't need anything much larger than that. It provides a nice dinner meal, and then we'll have a few leftovers for some pork sandwiches tomorrow if that's what we're into. If you're feeding 3 or more, you may want to look for a pork loin that's at least 2.5 pounds or more. You know, the bigger the pork loin, the more meat you have, of course, so that makes sense. I'll take this out of the package, rinse it off nicely, and then I'll pat it dry with a paper towel before we apply our marinade. The other great thing about grilling a pork loin is it takes the flavor of the marinade really fast. We're going to make our own marinade out of a 1/2 cup of soy sauce, 1/3 of honey, or 1/3 a cup of honey anyway, a 1/4 cup of brown sugar, and 1 shot of Jack Daniels. You know I got to add Jack Daniels to my marinades. I prefer to put this in a small bowl with a lid. We can shake it up really fast. Blends all of those flavors in there nicely together, and when it's simple and fast, the better it is. Now you can put this on a pot on a stove, heat it up, or you can even put it in a bowl, put it in the microwave, heat that up, and then be able to stir all that stuff up. But you want to let that cool down before you apply the marinade to the pork, so that you don't start cooking the outside of the pork loin. Okay, so we're getting ready to make our marinade for our pork loin here. We've got a 1/2 cup of soy sauce. I've got 1/3 cup of Dixie Crystal's light brown sugar, as well as a 1/4 cup of honey, and then we'll add a shot or 2 of Jack Daniels in just for good measure. So easiest thing we'll do is we'll take our 1/2 cup of soy sauce. We'll put this in our little bowl here. I'll add the brown sugar next. You can see that starts to dissolve in there pretty quickly. And then we'll add our honey. Now I didn't preheat this honey at all. It's just right out of the jar. You can do that if you want to. It's never a bad idea, but because of the type of bowl that I've got here, I've got a little lid that'll go on top of this bowl. I'll be able to shake that up really nicely. So we got our honey going on in there. And then just for good measure, we'll put in a shot of Jack Daniels. Got a little whisk. I can mix this stuff up real nicely. Start to get it going, because that honey is a little bit thicker than what you'd imagine when it's in soy sauce. If I take a big whisk, it might splatter all over the place. So I've got a little small whisk here. I can just start whisking all that up. You can feel the sugar on the bottom, which as it starts to dissolve, you won't feel that roughness like sandpaper or that grittiness on the bottom of your bowl or whatnot. So I've got that going good. That's nice. Seems like everything's mixing really good. I'll put my top on that and then shake it up real good, and we'll put that on the pork loin. So as you can see now, we've got our pork loin in here. This pork loin will separate, so it's not like we had 2 pork loins. This is 1 pork loin, and when we took it out of the package, it'll separate, and you'll get these 2 long tubular pieces like that. But that's really good meat. It's got a little bit of fat left here. We're going to leave that. We could trim that off, but that's just going to add to the flavor. But for the most part, pork loin is going to be fairly lean. You'll have a little bit of fat in there. That just adds to the flavor of it, but we could
take that off if we wanted to. We'll probably cut that off after it's cooked. Won't necessarily eat that, but it's good now. Ready for the marinade. So got our marinade in our glass bowl I was telling you about. Just been shaking that and mixed it up with our little whisk, but with this tight cover on it, it's very easy to just kind of shake it up, make sure that stays good and mixed up and everything. It's a Pyrex bowl. These lids fit really tight, like these for marinades. Mixing things up in a bowl where I'm not having to always heat it up. So we'll take the lid off of that. We'll just add our marinade, pour our marinade right over that pork loin. Let that sit in there. Put that back there. And we'll just make sure that these pieces of the pork loin are just in here and soaking up all that goodness, especially that Jack Daniels. And make for some really fine eating there. Just continually turn that. So we'll let that sit in that marinade. I'll cover that up. Let it sit in that marinade for 30 minutes, and then they'll be ready for the grill. I use the Royal Oak Tumbleweed fire starters in the center of our lump charcoal so we can get our grill started up. You can see that now we've got a nice color to our charcoal, and we've got a temperature of 375, which is what we're looking for. That's what we want to grill our pork loin on. So I'll go ahead and put that on now. We're just going to put this on, no matter what side you're looking at. Basically, we're going to roll this every 5 minutes. So I'll put that on there like that. That sounds really nice. I'll close the hood down. Got a little pecan wood in there to add a nice little subtle flavor of smoke flavor to it. But we'll let that do 5 minutes aside. Continue to turn it over every 5 minutes, making sure that we're not burning any side. We don't really want to char it. We just want to grill it. And then we're looking for an internal temperature of 145. That's when we know it's time to take it off, and we'll wrap that up in heavy duty aluminum foil. But for right now, we'll let that cook 5 minutes, roll it over, 5 minutes, roll it over, 5 minutes, roll it over. Then we should be looking at an internal temperature of 145. All right, y'all, we've been having this on the grill now for about 25 minutes at 375. We've turned it over 4 times. That means we've turned it over every 5 minutes. We should have an internal temperature here of 145. We'll stick our thermometer in at the heaviest side of the meat and let that come up. You can see it starting to climb up a little bit there. There we go. It's coming in. Yep, right at 145. So we're good to go on that one. We'll stick it in this one, just in the top part of the meat there, and make sure. And we are there. So we'll take these off, wrap these in aluminum foil. We're gonna let these rest. We'll let these rest for 10 minutes in aluminum foil after we get them nice and sealed up. Fill these bad boys up nice and tight. Heavy duty aluminum foil. I'll just wrap that down. Kind of hot dog the ends there and just fold that in. Let those rest for 10 minutes. We'll open up the foil, cut those things open. By that time, we should have our sides ready. We'll be ready to eat. All right, we've had this in the aluminum foil now for about 10 minutes while it's been resting. We're gonna take it out. You can see it's got some juices in there. Really nice. If you're doing mashed potatoes or something like that, you may want to add that gravy to your mashed potatoes, or you can even use it as like an au jus for the pork pork loin there. So we'll take this out, lay it on our cutting board. Good deal. Grab a knife, see what we got. Looks really good on the inside. As you can see, it's nice and done. We got a nice little smoke ring that's happening there just from a little bit of pecan wood that we included in our grill there. Weren't really smoking, we were more or less grilling, but you'll get a nice smoke flavor from that as well. So it looks really good. We'll cut some more pieces up here so you can take a look. Yeah, look at the juices on that thing. You can see it when you put it together. That looks really good. So we'll continue cutting this up, getting ready to have a real nice meal. Hope y'all enjoyed this video on the honey teriyaki with Jack Daniels pork loin. Hey, please give us a like and subscribe to our channel. We sure would appreciate it. Y'all have a great week and come see us soon.